Hello and a warm welcome to this video recording, the purpose of which is to tell you a little bit more in visual form about a particular piece of free software which I mentioned in the written post from the other day, which said I was going to tell you a little bit more about it and where to download it. Now, the software I'm referring to is called Pixlr, P-I-X-L-R, and you can find it by typing in pixlr.com into your browser window, or just Pixlr into Google or whichever search engine you use, and that will take you sooner or later to this page here. Now, there are three different options you can use for Pixlr. What they refer to as playful, which is a very basic version, efficient, and the advanced. I'm going to focus on showing you the advanced level of Pixlr today, simply because if you can master the well, I'm not planning on getting you to master it. I'm certainly going to show you the basics, for want of a better term, of the advanced section. But if you know a little bit about how to use the advanced section, then the other two, playful and efficient, should be much easier to use if you ever need to use them. So on that basis, let's left click on here, and that brings you to here. Now, I use Pixlr and Photoshop CS5 and things like Xheader to design a lot of headers for my various WordPress sites. So what I'm going to do today, just as an example, purely as an example, is to pretend I'm setting up a photography WordPress website and I wish to design a header for it. Now, I will quickly digress slightly at this stage and say that this is in no way meant to be a full-blown tutorial about how to use every aspect of Pixlr. It is just, as I've alluded before, to give you a basic understanding of the advanced features. There are a large number of YouTube tutorials and other tutorials elsewhere on the internet about how to use Pixlr. So obviously they're the places to obviously go to find out something in a more in-depth manner. And what I'm about to design too, the header, is in no way going to be anything, it's no way going to be any great shakes. It's going to be a very basic header, which, if truth is told, I've never used in a million years, but what it will show you by the end of this video is how to change the color of the backgrounds, how to insert images, how to remove the backgrounds from images, how to add text, how to modify text, and a little bit of an explanation about the use of something called layers. So that's what I hope to achieve. Right, that said, that explanation out of the way, so this is a make-believe photography website header. So click on that, box pops up. The default is 800 by 600. That would not fit a normal WordPress site. So let's go to the dashboard of a website which I've got. To reach this page, I've gone to Appearance, down to Header, clicked on Header, and that's brought me to this page. And it tells you the suggested width of a header is 940 by 198. So we'll go to there, and we'll go 940 by 198. Now, I'm going to give it a title. We'll call this one Photography, so I could identify it if this was real and I wanted to come back to it. And then we'll click OK. Now, the working area pops up immediately. Now, as a personal preference, I prefer to have a bit of a gap around my working area so I can actually just discern it a little clearer. So if I place the cursor over the bottom right hand corner of the rectangle, hold the left button of my mouse down while dragging it a little bit further to say there, I've now got a little bit of a gap around my working area so I can see it a little bit clearer. You don't have to do this, as I've said. This is purely a personal preference. Now, first things first, how to change color, the color of the background. Now, by default, as you can see, it's white. You don't, nothing wrong in white. In some instances, white could be a good base color. But if I just simply leave it as the default color, that doesn't show you how to change the background. So let's just change it to something else. So first things first, there's a little tool over here. Hover the mouse over it. You can see it's called Paint Bucket Tool. Left click on that. Down to this little palette here below, the default color, as you can see, is black. Left click on that and this box will pop up. First of all, choose the basic color that you want to change the background to. I'm going to settle for that and then use this inner icon here to change the color. Now, you've probably already noticed there's a little box up here which shows you the original default color and what you're changing the rectangle to. So we'll settle on that, I think, and then click on OK. Now, nothing happens immediately until you place the little paint bucket icon into the working area, and then if I left click with my mouse, voila, you change the color. Now that's the color changed. Now this is probably a good point. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to tell you something about something called layers. If I come over here in the middle box, you'll see it's headlined layers. Now the very first thing I've created, the first layer, is the actual background. Now every time I add something to this rectangle, it will be classified as a separate component. So if I add an image to here, it will be listed down here. If I add another image, it will be listed separately. If I add text, that text will be listed separately. So everything is regarded as a separate component. Now, layered more or less one on top of another. Now, what does that mean? Well, hopefully what I'm about to describe is going to make sense. I'm sure if it doesn't, it'll become clearer as we progress. But the best way to describe layers is, let's say you're an artist creating an oil painting and you want to do a seaside painting. So I don't know, first of all you may do the backdrop of the sky, the horizon. That will be layer one. After you've done that, you might think, right, it's now time to do the land lying in the distance. That would be layer two. Then maybe the next thing you want to do is the beach. That would be classified as layer three. Then the sea, layer four. Maybe put some people on the beach, layer five. Some seagulls in the air. That would be layer six. Now, if you were doing that that type of design work with Pixlr or Photoshop, every one of those things, the sky, background and the horizon, the beach, the sea, the people walking on the beach, the seagulls, would, if you're doing that here, each one of those items, as you did them, would be classified as a separate layer. With an oil painting, if you do a seagull or maybe a man or a woman or a dog, say, walking along the beach, if you're not happy with the size of them, you think they're not quite to scale, and you wish to alter them, then you're going to end up by, as you paint them out, or if you want to start again, you're going to affect by painting the image of the man, say, walking a dog. As you paint over it, you're going to end up by painting over the sand that is drawn on, and then you're going to have to end up by altering the sand and then redrawing the figure. So by altering one particular component of your oil painting, you've effectively altered something else, and it involves you in more work. The beauty of Pixlr and Photoshop and the like is every component is individual. If you alter something in size, change the color of a font, change the size of an image after originally designing it, you can do that without affecting the other layers. They're all separate components. hopefully that will give you an idea of what layers, the benefit of designing something in layers is. But hopefully, if I haven't explained that too well, it'll become a little bit clearer as we progress. Right, so the second layer in this case is going to be an image. Now what we need to do is we're going to come up to the layer tab here and scroll down to open image as layer and left click the mouse. Now by default that's opened up on my desktop where I actually have, or should have, I believe, if not, yes I have, a previously saved image of a camera. Now if I left click on that and then press open, that will by default place that image which I'd saved to my desktop right in the center of the rectangle. Now I'm going to quickly show you where I actually obtained that image from. This is a good free site. It's called Stock Exchange. You can find it by typing in www.sxc, obviously short for stock exchange.hu. Forget about this tag at the end. This has just taken me to their camera page where I've been previously to download that image. As long as you just type that, that will bring you to their home page. You do have to register. It's free, and you'll need to confirm from memory, I believe, your email. But within 3-4 minutes, you'll be registered and you'll be able to log in. And to find a particular image, to find the cameras which I've used, I simply typed in camera or cameras, can't remember now, into that box, search box there, clicked on that, and that brought me to this page. There's an awful lot of images, you can see here, page 1 to 50, and you can navigate, by clicking on the next or the last. I was about to say I think that was the image I used, but it wasn't. I won't bother trying to find the precise image because it's not important. But all I did was I held the mouse over. There's obviously a blow up to show you exactly in greater detail what you're about to download, and then I basically saved that image to my desktop. So that's a good site to remember, sxc.hu, Stock Exchange, and keep that one in mind. So come back here. That's where the image came from. Now there are a number of things I'm not happy with this, assuming it was a genuine header I was doing. First of all, by default, it's appeared in the center. Well, I don't want it there. I want to move it. Second of all, I prefer to resize the image. And third of all, I don't like this white background which is around the image. So let's start first of all with resizing the actual image itself. So what we do is we go to Edit, and down to Free Transform and left click with that, and you'll notice these little squares appear around the actual image. Now if I place my mouse in the bottom right hand corner and then either pull down or out, or down and out, you can see it's resizing it to whatever I want. Well, let's say I want to resize it to about there. If I left click outside the box, that will bring up a pop-up which says, do I want to apply the changes? For speed, we'll say yes. So that's resized the image. Now I want to move this. Well, I'd like to move it over here. So we go to the little tool over here, which is called the Move tool. Left click on that, and then left click on the image, and now I can drag it to wherever I want. And that's fine there. Now that's fine as far as resizing the image and also moving it, but now I'd like to get rid of this white background. So how do I do that? Well, I go over to this little tool here which is called the Wand tool. Now if I left click on that, all I need to do, if I actually click on the delete key, that's what happens. You still have the lines, but the actual background the white background disappears. Now to set it, if I just left click just outside the rectangle, and voila, you've now got the image resized and without the background, and we've obviously moved it too. So that's that. Now let's say I wanted to add some text. We go to the text tool, and again, if I hang the cursor, it's got its actual official title is type tool. Left click on that, and wherever I roughly want the text to appear, I just click there, and that box opens up. Now I'm just going to give this the title, the photography website. And you can't see it because by default it's assumed the same color as the background. So let's just click on that. And what color can we give it? Well, I like red, so we'll select the main choice of color there, and then we'll change it to that, and we'll click OK. That's fine, but not particularly strong, so there's ability to bold it, italic, or whatever. So we'll bold it, and we'll resize it, I think, just by moving that. Yes, that looks all right. I don't want to change the actual font size. Now to move it, I have to go back to the Move tool, and then left click and hold the left mouse down while I reposition the text. Now, there is a way of actually enhancing that, and I did mention in the initial preamble, I'd show you how to enhance the text. Just over in the Layers box, make certain that whatever you're working with, you've actually highlighted, because that was the last thing I was working with. It automatically highlighted it by default, but before you press this little button here, whatever you want to change, just make certain that whatever you want to work on is actually highlighted. So that's highlighted there. So by clicking that now, that will bring this drop-up box. Now I quite like adding shadows to things, so if I click on that, you can see there's quite a deep shadow. Now you might think to yourself, well, you know, that's a little bit too deep for me. Well, if you actually left click on the word itself, that brings up this box, and on the distance, if I just move that down slightly, that's better, that's shrunk that, and then click OK, we've now got a nice gentle shadow down there. Now, quick check over here shows that so far we've got three components. We've got the background, we've got the second thing I place on here, which is the image, and the third thing, which was the line of text called the photography website. Now, we're about to put a fourth layer down by adding a subheadline. So we'll click on A. Again, left click where I want it to appear, and we'll just put hint, tips, help, and advice. And again, you can't see it. I think we'll use blue this time, but the actual precise shade of blue, we'll make it a bit darker. We'll say that. Again, I don't want a regular, I prefer it to be bold. I don't think I'll put a drop shadow on this one. We'll just say OK. Now, obviously, I want to move it. Second thoughts, I've just realized. Let's see. Just hit that. Help, tips, help, and advice. So let's go on to that. And go on to that. Now, what I'm going to do is just alter the size of that because it's a little bit too much. Bring it back down to there, and then OK. Now again, I want to move that, so I'm going to have to click on the Move tool first, then hold that down, and then move it to there. And that's it. Apart from that, it just leaves me to say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.